This is not a time to let your foot off the gas and to, you know, just coast and just be like, everything's over, I'm gonna go back to doing me. You got to be very aware of what is happening. Welcome back to Elevation 44, where we learn how to master our energy. I'm B. For those of you who are new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back, okay? So today, I have a lot of information for you. And what we're diving right into is the upcoming solar eclipse. So for those of you who are not aware, we have a solar eclipse happening on June 21st, okay? And that's this Sunday. This eclipse is significant for so many reasons, which I will get into as we get into this information. And that's why I wanted to bring you this, because I was like debating, should I put this out? Should I not put it out? And I was like, nah, people need to know this. And so I'm always going to share the information that I feel is helpful to the collective. So what I want to talk about at first is kind of the overarching energy influence, the energy that is going to be applied to the collective or affecting the collective. And then I want to get into a little bit more how this eclipse will personally affect you and what you need to look for to see how it's going to personally affect you. And of course, I'm always going to give you the herbs and the rituals and the crystals that you can work with. So that is what we're going to talk about in whole. So without chit-chatting too much, I'm going to get right into the information. All right, so let's start with the overarching influence, the influence on the collective. Whew, there is a lot going on here, so I'm going to try to slow my brain down so I can get it all out to you, okay? So the solar eclipse, like I said, is happening on Sunday, June 21st. Now, this solar eclipse is significant for two reasons. One, it's wrapping up a series of eclipses that started back in 2018. So these were the Cancer and Capricorn eclipses. And these eclipses specifically focused on the balance of work and life, okay? Like work and home and how we do business and how we live, right? So that is really what those eclipses or that energy of that eclipse series brought in. This is the last Cancer eclipse of that series. And then on July 5th, we're going to have a lunar eclipse in Capricorn, and that's going to completely wrap up this series, okay? So this is closing out an energy cycle, and that's why it's significant in that way. It's also significant because it also coincides with the summer solstice, okay? And the summer solstice is literally, if you're not familiar with that term, it is the longest day of daylight hours on this earth, right? So there are two summer solstices, one that happens in the northern hemisphere, which is the one that we're going to be experiencing on Sunday, and then there is another one that happens in the southern hemisphere, and that happens during their summertime. So this is when the sun has its greatest influence on the earth. This is when it's at its strongest position, okay? So when we combine the energy of the summer solstice, all right, which is a powerful sun, and then you have the energy of an eclipse, right, which is transformation and everything on steroids. When you combine that, we're talking about high major transformative energy, just to the 10th 100th degree, okay? So that's why I want you guys to have this information so you know what we're working with. So here's some of the interesting facts about this solar eclipse. The last time that there was a solar eclipse that fell on a summer solstice was exactly 19 years ago, which was June 21st, 2001, all right? Now, what's interesting about this is the next time an eclipse or solar eclipse will fall on the summer solstice is going to be 19 years from now, okay? And that will be in 2039. So there is a 19-year cycle going on, but this is not a normal occurrence, okay? It's called a metonic cycle, and it is a thing, but it's not a normal occurrence for these solar eclipses to be 19 years apart on the summer solstices, okay? So I want to focus a little bit on this 2001 solar eclipse and what happened there, because a lot of the energies that I'm seeing that were present at that time are actually showing up at this time as well. And then we have some new energetic influences that were not present in 2001 that's also changing things a little bit. But I want you to see like where there are some similarities across the board and draw your own conclusions, okay? Now, we know 2001 was a huge year. The trajectory changed of how we do things, of how we live, of how we work. Like, things changed in 2001 because we, know the event that happened in 2001 that really changed the course of things, and that was 9/11, okay? So let's talk about this solar eclipse that happened on the summer solstice in 2001 so we can get a better idea of why that event happened and why things changed the way they did. Okay, so in 2001, we were having a solar eclipse on June 21st, and it was actually happening in the same position of 0 degrees Cancer, okay? So what this highlights is it being more personal, and this was more highlighting personal or the individual safety, okay? So personal safety, all right? Keep that in mind. What we also had happening at the time of the 2001 solar eclipse, the sun was pretty much in a challenging aspect with Pluto and Mars, okay? And Pluto and Mars were sitting in the sign of Sagittarius, which is a sign or an energy of fire and action, okay? So Mars and Pluto were actually at this time conjoining or joining their energies together, which is where they made each other very powerful and very strong. And what they did was they got together and made each other powerful and strong in the worst ways, okay? So what this did was make Mars boost up its aggression or its aggressive force in nature, and Pluto boost up its destructive force and nature, okay? So what happened was this was the energy when Cancer was at 0 degrees, when that portal opened. This was the energy that was being ushered in for the new wave, okay? A few weeks later, after this eclipse passes, on 9/9, September 9th, Mars moved out of Sagittarius and moved into Capricorn. So if Mars and Pluto were sitting up there boosting each other up this whole time, Mars was like, okay girl, I'm about to I'm about to go ahead and move into this next area or this next arena, but thank you for boosting me up, thank you for getting my confidence nice and high, and thank you for helping me plan out what I want to do. So then Mars goes over to Capricorn, right? Moves out of Sagittarius and that energy where it's got all boosted up with Pluto, moves over into Capricorn on 9/9. And the reason why this is significant is because Mars is exalted in Capricorn. And all that means is that Mars can function at its best in Capricorn outside of how it functions in its home sign of Aries. It functions great in Capricorn. And the reason why is because it's a complementary energy where Mars can express its full potential, okay? So what it can do is everything that it was manifesting with Pluto in Sagittarius, now it can take that and bring it down into the physical realm and make it a physical reality, okay? So when Mars then moves into Capricorn, where it's like, oh, I've been manifesting, now I'm about to make my plans come down into the physical realm, 2 days later, what happens? 9/11, okay? And when 9/11 happens, it changes the entire trajectory. So now that I've highlighted the energies and what was being ushered in 2001 and how that completely changed the trajectory of how we do things, right? Let me talk about the comparisons to the 2020 energy, all right? So here are the 2020 solar eclipse placements. just like in 2001, the sun and moon are going to be conjoined, okay, for this eclipse at 0 degrees Cancer. Again, highlighting personal, the individual, the effect on the individual, all right? This time, though, instead of it being a safety, it's more of an emotional attack, okay? Now, keep that in mind as you think about everything that has been happening on the world stage and in the news. Keep that in mind, okay? Now, what's also a new influence that was not present in 2001 is now Saturn, which is currently retrograding, is also going to be 0 degrees Aquarius, another portal opening. And what we're talking about here in terms of that is personal freedom, but limitations, okay? Limitations, because Saturn is about limitations, Aquarius is about freedom. So again, it's an attack on, you know, the individuals, okay? The individual's freedom and putting limitations on that, all right? Also, change and disruption, okay? So I want you to think about all of this as you think about what's happening in the world and as you think about how this thing is pushing forward. Saturn's current position to the sun at the time of the eclipse will be making it's almost a challenging position because it's going to make the energy unpredictable, okay? So what we're looking at is people wanting freedom at all costs, but there's an outside influence or restrictions or limitations being placed on that, and it being an agitator, okay? And change and destruction to the current structures and foundations, okay? So keep all of this in mind. Not only that, we have the new wave, innovation, originality, and the advancements in technology also being brewed up. Now, all of this is going to be unpredictable energy. Now, here's where we tie in 2001 comparisons with 2020 comparisons in energy. In 2001, Mars and Pluto were joining forces to boost each other up. Remember I talked about, they was like, yeah, you know, get this, go do this thing, right? They will be influencing each other yet again in this present day, okay? So they're amplifying each other's energies again to bring out a high energy for transformation. Just like they did in 2001, they're joining again to influence each other. Not necessarily in the same exact way, because that energy in 2001 was a little bit more like powerful because they were conjuncting, which means that they were combining their energies together. This time, they're like egging each other on in the sense of, yeah, you can do this, I'll give you a little boost, but it's not in the same way, okay? So this is what is happening now, present day. So Mars and Pluto in 2001 and Mars and Pluto in 2020 are doing very, very similar things. Now, here's more of this. I hope you guys are following so far. The sun, okay, at the time of our eclipse in 2020, will be in conflict with Mars, all right? Which brings combativeness, aggression, impatience, and fighting when threatened. Okay, we talked about the limitations on our personal freedom in Saturn with Aquarius. We're talking about this aggression coming in with Mars, okay? And we're talking about Pluto also boosting up Mars and Mars boosting up Pluto. Okay, so keep all of this in mind. Now, I will say that this conflict that the sun is having with Mars is not really so much of an issue at the time, the exact time of the solar eclipse, not a lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, because Mars is still in Pisces. Now, when Mars is in Pisces, Mars is a very aggressive, direct, fiery, let's go get him aggressive energy, okay? Pisces is not. It's debilitated in Pisces in the sense that it is like it's got a tranquilizer, a dart in its neck, and it is just like literally cannot function in Pisces, hates that energy, can't wait for the tranquilizer effects to wear off so it can get on and pop in like it usually likes to do. Now, when I say it's not a problem at the time of the eclipse because it'll be in Pisces, that has been our saving grace. The fact that we've seen things playing out on the world stage, we were seeing these, this rioting and protesting and looting and all of this stuff happening. This stuff that has been happening, even though it seems extreme, has actually been very, very mild because of Mars being in Pisces, okay? Now, a few days later after this eclipse happens, I want to say on June 27th, Mars moves into its home sign of Aries. And that means the tranquilizer effects will have worn off, and this will be when Mars gets it popping. You understand what I mean? This is the pop-off energy, all right? So everything that we've been seeing happening and going on is not going to be anything compared to when Mars is able to be its full expressive self and express all the good and all the bad, okay? Mars will also be in conflict with the moon because the moon and the sun are conjoined, right? In alignment for the solar eclipse. So Mars will be in conflict with the moon, which also speaks to emotional conflicts. So again, we're tying back to the emotions, all right? Personal emotions and health issues. I want you to put a pin in the health issues because think about what we're seeing that's happening and what we've been experiencing in 2020 with a certain virus or wreaking havoc. I want you to think about that. The sun will also be in direct conflict with Neptune, okay? So at the time of the solar eclipse, it's going to be in conflict with Mars. It's going to be in conflict with Neptune. Now, its conflict with Neptune brings, okay, unbalanced emotions, again, back on the emotional thing, illusions, confusion, deceit, and heightened infections. So when I say put a pin in the health, tie the health in with this whole thing with heightened infections. And this is what the sun is illuminating with its conflict with Neptune. Then Neptune is also getting influenced from Pluto, which increases the emphasis on disease and infections. So what I'm trying to say in short is everything that we've been seeing play out in terms of the collective's emotions being riled up through certain events, okay? With this virus wreaking havoc and the limitations and the restrictions that have come down from that and how people feel about that and how everyone's getting tired of certain things and how the veil has been lifted off of stuff and, you know, people are just not trusting and not having it anymore. What I'm trying to say in short is that the overarching or major influence that these portals are opening and ushering in so that we see change that we're going to see, you know, physically within the next 6 months, but then also is going to influence us for the next 19 years to come, has a lot to do with what we're already seeing. But this stuff is not it. You think that we've been through it? Oh, the virus already came and went. You know, this stuff happened, you know, with the protests and everything, and that's kind of phasing out. That was just the warm-up, okay? There is a whole lot more. There is major events that are going to happen that are going to catapult us or change the trajectory, just like the 9/11 event had happened and changed the trajectory of where we were going then. I'm not going to say that something like 9/11 is going to happen, because to say something like that is ridiculous. It's a different climate and there are also different energies at play. But what I'm trying to say that there is a major event on the horizon that is going to change the trajectory. It may look very different from what that looked like in 2001, but nonetheless, it will be impactful and it will change things for us in a big way. So what we've been seeing right now happening, while that solar eclipse that happened in the sign of Capricorn in December ushered in the first wave of the changes, this one is going to usher in part 2, and we're going to see more. We're going to see more. This was not it. We're not done, okay? So that's what I want you to take away from this as far as the overarching influence on the collective. Now, let's talk about how this personally will affect you. So we have the overarching energy that affects the entire collective. Then we also have the personal transformation that is happening within each of us, okay, depending on where this solar eclipse is impacting us in our personal natal charts. Now, the first thing that you will need to do to find out this information is you're going to have to pull up a transit chart. So you want to pull up the chart that specifically shows both the transiting planets and your natal planets on the same chart. I'm going to put a link in the description below or in the comments below that takes you right to that chart where you can input your information. The things that you're going to definitely need are your time of birth, your date of birth, and your location of birth. You're also going to need for the transit chart the date of the eclipse, which will be June 21st, 2020. You're going to put in wherever you're located. So if you live in Brooklyn, New York, you're going to put Brooklyn, New York in. And then you're also going to put the time of the eclipse that it's happening. And that is happening at 2:40 a.m. Eastern Time or 6:40 a.m. UTC. Okay? So this is the information that you're going to need to pull up the transit chart. What you want to do is look at the transiting planets and find the sun, okay? Now, what we're going to look for is what house is the sun falling in at the time of the eclipse, okay? Now, everybody has 12 houses, okay? And the sun will fall in one of those specific houses for you. Now, if it's falling in a specific house, it's going to be activating that specific energy or that specific lesson of transformation in that area. Now, if it's falling in your first house, you're going to have transformation around your personality and self-identity. Second house, there's going to be transformation with money and your material possessions. Third house, communication and learning, okay? Fourth house, home and family. Fifth house, creativity and romance. Sixth house is your house of health and public service, so there's going to be transformation in that arena. Seventh house, your relationships. Eighth house, this is the house of death, rebirth, and sex, so there is going to be transformation in those arenas. Ninth house, philosophy and wisdom. 10th house, your career and your public image. 11th house, your friends, your wishes, and tech. And 12th house is your unconscious mind and spirituality, okay? So these are the areas that can be activated with this solar eclipse for you personally. So you're feeling the collective energy, but then you also have your own individual transformations taking place. Now let's get into some of the crystals, herbs, and rituals that you can do. The first crystal, and the only crystal that I'm actually going to show you in this video, while you can work with many, the one that I'm going to recommend is sunstone. And I don't know if that's focusing, but this is sunstone. And sunstone is all about good luck, positive vibes, abundance, success, vitality. Like everything that the sun represents, sunstone also represents. So this is just a good, feel good, gives you optimism and confidence, and it boosts your energy, and this is just, your vitality is going to be on 10 if you are working with sunstone under this energy, okay? Two of the herbs that I would actually, the major herb that I would recommend working with is St. John's wort. You can also work with calendula, and you can work with chamomile, all right? So St. John's wort, not worth. St. John's wort is about health, protection, strength, happiness, and love, okay? Calendula is all about protection, psychic power. It also helps you with legal issues. And chamomile is also a very calming herb. and helps. It's just a nice flower to work with, and it has a lot of amazing properties as well. And then another flower that I would recommend you working with, if you want to incorporate some flowers, some life flowers into it, is sunflower, which is all about wishes, health, and wisdom, okay? So these are like our masculine sun, fire, energetic herbs. All right, let's get into some of the rituals that you can do at this time. First off, I will say I've gotten lots of questions about this. People, I don't know where they're getting this information from. People have asked me or told me, like, I heard that you're not supposed to manifest during an eclipse. I don't know where you guys are getting this from, but eclipse are one of the prime times to manifest. So take advantage of this energy. And I don't know where these people got this information from, but it is a prime time for manifesting. So some of the rituals that you can do are rituals around the sun. So you're capitalizing again on that sun energy. So that could be sun gazing, that could be sitting out and recharging directly in the sunlight, okay? You can also, this is a great energy for attraction and money rituals, okay? So if you're gonna be doing any type of money spells or attracting in any ways, I would suggest working with these 3 different color candles if you're going to be using candles, because also this is all about the fire element because of the sun. So using candles is a great way to incorporate that solar energy, the fire energy, and everything like that. The 3 candle colors I have here: gold, which is great for attraction and good fortune, green, which is great for money and success, and we have yellow, which is great for personal power and attraction of all kinds, and vitality, okay? So money and abundance, personal power and attraction and vitality, and good fortune and attraction. So they almost pretty much work similarly. They have differences. I personally would use the yellow or the gold, because when I think about attracting things or abundance, I don't think just about money. I think about all forms of resources and good health and vitality and everything like that. So I would probably work with the yellow or the gold, but you can work with any one. And if you don't have specific candle colors, you can also use white. White can take the place of any candle color, okay? Then we also have rituals where you can spend time out in nature or with the earth, so connecting to the abundance of the earth harvest. So this is a great time to harvest fruits or vegetables at their peak, okay, or herbs, and you want to pick them at their highest peak when the sun is the highest in the sky. So around noonish, right? Around noon-ish. Yes, noon-ish. You want to go ahead and maybe, you know, pick out some herbs, or, you know, harvest some fruit, or whatever the case may be, but spending time out in the abundance of the earth and getting connected with nature in that way. Or you can have a picnic outside. You can create an outdoor altar. The limit is the sky. The sky is the limit. Anyway, this is all I have for you today. I hope that you're finding this information very helpful, understanding kind of where we are collectively, where we're going, the changes that are happening, what's happening with you personally, what house it's lighting up for you. Let me know in the comments below. What house is it going to be lighting up for you? For me, I know it's this eclipse is going to light up my house of health and public service, which I'm pretty excited about. So I'm ready to see some major transformation in those areas, because I know that, you know, this is just propelling me personally forward into, you know, areas of growth that are necessary. And collectively, I know that even though we're going through birthing pains right now, and even though things feel hard right now sometimes for us, it's actually propelling us as a larger collective to where we need to be. So even though we have all these challenges and we have things that come out of this, there is no growth without challenge. So just embrace the challenge, just like you embrace all of the good things as well. Okay, I'm done. I hope you guys have a great summer solstice / solar eclipse day. You're able to capitalize on this energy. I will see you in the next video. Peace.